5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hello, everybody. This is Alex Bennett. This is the Ramble coming to you from New York City, and we'll be here until midnight Eastern Daylight Time. Ladies and gentlemen, the musical stylings of Larry Bubbles Brown. Hello, Larry.
Hello, Alex. I understand that you had a little rioting near your place recently.
We didn't have riot. You know, it's funny. I live in Harlem, and usually in most of these demonstrations years ago, it was Harlem that burned to the ground. Okay, we didn't have anything going on here. It was all all happening in Midtown, where they were looting like Saks Fifth Avenue, you know, and Macy's got looted. Of course, they're in such trouble business-wise. Probably they're happy for the insurance money, you know. So, but it was nothing here, and there were demonstrations. I mean, there were some just really peaceful demonstrations going through the neighborhood from time to time, but nothing overt, you know, nothing that caused us grief or made me afraid to go out on the street. I'm more afraid to go out on the street because of the coronavirus. Although I am starting to get out now. Went to the park yesterday.
Yeah, didn't you tell me you'd been in the house for 72 days or something crazy thing?
Yeah, I've been in the house basically for about 100 days.
God.
This is day 101, actually. And I went out. I mean, I've been out for like about 4 times maybe for like 15, 20 minutes. That was about it, you know. But yesterday we went up to this park, and the flowers were in bloom, and it was a beautiful day, and everybody was keeping their social distance. And now when people hear this interview that we're doing right now, this was recorded maybe a week ago. Okay, so I probably have already talked about this, but it was gorgeous out there. It was just wonderful, and I just went, God, I miss this. But I had my gloves on, I had my mask on, I was hermetically sealed in a bubble. So, you know, it wasn't as fun as it could be, but it was better than it could have been, you know.
Yeah, well, as I told you, apparently from what I've read, very hard to transmit it outside. So they think you really probably don't even need a mask outside, inside.
Actually,
outside.
I think you're wrong. What I've heard is that you can transmit it. You can transmit it because if somebody's not wearing a mask and they cough, that spittle from the cough can go at least 25 feet through the air in the middle of the day in the park. You know, yes, it is more difficult, but it's not impossible. So you know, I think that, you know, they had all these people marching, and they were waiting to see, at least when this is being recorded, we're waiting to see what the effect of that is. And if it turns out that it isn't that bad, then there are a couple of things that we can take into consideration. Number one, here in New York at least, the amount of people who are infected now is at an all-time low. I think of the tests they do, 2% come out positive in New York City. Well, if you're having a demonstration in New York City, then there's a possibility that 2% of the people out there might have an infection. But as to whether that spreads to you, especially if you're wearing a mask, then lowers it a great deal. So maybe we won't see the uptick because of the demonstrations. So, well, you know, it's all in the statistics, and our governor's been very good about this. He said, I'm not playing politics, I'm playing statistics. I'm looking at the day-to-day snapshot and saying, you know, hey, you know, Today it went up. We got to be careful. We got to back off a little bit. He says it's kind of like taking your cholesterol every year. You know, you want to see what the baseline is and whether it's gone up or not. And he said, so that's what this is. He says, and that's how we're doing it. He said, I'm not doing it because the public is pressuring me, you know. He says, I'm not running for anything. In fact, he isn't. This is the last term as governor.
You said you had last week there was 3 deaths in one day. And what was during the worst part? How many were you having?
700
a day.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh, this was, believe me, as a person who was in that prime group. You know, if I were 30, I'd be a little more bold about it and go, well, if I get it, I get it, and you know, I'll sneeze and cough and do whatever happens, and then I'll be over it. But at 80, it's like, you know, it's like the Grim Reaper has his scythe right behind you. And so we were in that group, you know, that is most susceptible to getting it and dying from it. And so I lived in great fear, and so did Marjorie, and so did everybody in this building, because there's a much older crowd in this building. You really worried about it. And but it came out, you know, we were out the other side of it, and now I feel a little bolder to go outside. Like I didn't get a blood test I was supposed to get 3 months ago because of my operation. But I decided to finally bite the bullet and walk down the street, and next Monday I'm getting my blood drawn. Because I think they're safer by and large. And that's important, you know. So, you know, but we lived through it was scary shit.
I didn't know it was 700 a day, so that sounds like pretty much beating it back there. Excuse me,
if I may be wrong, I think at one point it was as high as 800 a day, at the very height. 800 people a day dying.
That's impressive.
In New York. And now it's down to, well, he hasn't been giving the daily numbers for the entire state, but he gave a number for New York City, and there were only 3 deaths yesterday in New York City. And I understand the day before yesterday, there were no deaths in New York City. So, you know, I mean, that's an amazing change in circumstances. And by the way, folks, it has nothing to do with the weather, you know, because other states are having an uptick because they simply went, you know, they either ignored the rules or they went back too soon or whatever. Even California, you've had an uptick because of that. So it really is a matter of that our governor was very careful. And I think, quite frankly, you know, a lot of people are critical of Cuomo on a lot of levels. I don't know what the thing is about him. I think John Oliver on his show a couple of weeks ago said, well, you know, I've never been a big fan of Mario Cuomo, but, and then he talked about something Cuomo had said. Quite frankly, I thank Governor Cuomo. I think he saved my life. I could be dead now if it weren't for him and his daily lectures and his daily updates and how he handled the crisis. He saved my life. You know.
Well, you didn't go out. Maybe you saved your life.
Well, I stayed indoors because I watched him, and he said, "Don't go out." You know, and he gave me the reasons why, and the lectures were very good. You know, and so bottom line, you know, his stewardship of this state during this crisis was what I would love to have seen from that thing we call a president. You know, who didn't do diddly squat.
So what's he's got, seems like he's got a little animus towards de Blasio?
He and de Blasio have always disliked each other, I guess, either politically or personally. I have no idea where it comes from. But they've been very cooperative with each other in this bit. But then At one point when we had the looting at Macy's and places like that, he said, I want to know where were the cops? Where were the police? That's where they should have been. And the answer to that was, we don't know. They were out getting coffee. But he criticized New York City for that. But he's worked with de Blasio on this whole thing. And, it's like what is it, a confederation of enemies. They need to work together on something like this, and they're not letting their personal politics or animosities keep them apart.
I thought he actually was talking about replacing de Blasio under some governor powers he had.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've always had something going. I'm not a big fan of de Blasio, by the way. He's,
Well, everyone I know in New York says the same thing, so I don't know anything about him.
But somehow, I don't know, everybody says it, but they reelected him.
Yeah, somebody likes him.
So where are the people that hate him exactly? Do they just stay home? It's funny, I have neuropathy, right? So I go to a neurologist, and the neurologist in his first interview with me asked me some questions, I guess, to see how my brain works. And he says, who is the governor of New York? And I didn't know. And then he said, I'll make it easier. Who is the mayor of New York City? And I couldn't answer. I was like, I completely froze up. And I felt so stupid because, I do a show where I talk about politics and so on, and I didn't know who these guys, I didn't know it was de Blasio and Cuomo. And then I suddenly realized, in doing a show where I talk about politics every day, I really don't pay much attention to local politics. And so those were easy answers. And then once somebody said de Blasio and said Cuomo, I went, yes, of course, But for the longest time, I didn't care who the governor of New York was. The only reason I cared who the governor of New York was at one point is that the former governor of New York, before Cuomo, was a fan of mine, and we got together and had lunch. So I knew who that governor was, and quite frankly, Patterson was his name.
Okay.
I can barely remember his name. So I knew who he was, but I knew he was the former governor, but I didn't know who the present governor was. So,
So your doctor thought you had dementia at that point?
Well, I mean, I don't think that you have dementia if you don't know who the governor is and who the mayor is, but it does show how stupid you are.
He thought you were an average American.
Yeah, that was the worst part of it, I figured that after not being able to answer that question, I should probably vote for Trump next time. It was like when I said I lost my tooth. I had a tooth removed, which still needs to have an implant, which I was going to do, but because of this, I ain't going all the way midtown right now. But I lost the tooth in the back of my mouth where you can't see it. It doesn't really matter except food gets in it. And as soon as I lost that tooth, the first thing I said was, does this mean I can vote for Trump? Because I'm missing a tooth. Yeah, but when he asked me that question, I didn't answer it. I felt so stupid. So how's the comedy business?
Oh, it's just on fire. I haven't worked in 3 months.
How are your skits and sketches? Do you find that at a time like this you get more creative because you've got nothing to do? Or everyone
I've talked to says, they thought, okay, we're not going to work for a long time. Everyone's going to write like crazy, and nobody's writing. Everyone's too depressed to write.
Really?
The only joke I got was during the looting. I said I looted an abortion clinic and got 2 buckets of stem cells.
Oh man. You're amazing. You are amazing.
Can't do that on network TV.
Can't do that on network TV. No, but I mean, so you're not getting that creative, I guess.
You know, I get occasionally I'll post like 5 jokes in a night on Facebook, and then I won't post anything for another week. But,
Wait a minute,
you
you post
not a
on
lot coming out.
Facebook? How do you do have a computer, don't you?
Yeah, I do have a dial-up computer. Yes.
Okay. You don't have a camera for that, do you?
No.
Oh, I thought we could just try a real.
I don't think it would work on dial-up any.
It might. We don't know. I don't know. Depends on what kind of dial-up you've got. Hey, listen, we've run out of time again.
That quickly? Wow.
Yeah, one of these days, we're going to get you to somebody who's got a computer or something and just do this as a video. But you don't know. We'll find somebody with a computer near you. Anyway, Larry,
okay.
Let's talk.
I'll go to FedEx.
Let's talk.
They have computers.
Let's talk next week.
You got it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, it's me. I'm Alex, and let me go here and open up do away with the waiting room. See, I put people in the waiting room in case they try to call, and then that would interrupt the audio and what have you. Anyway, good evening, everybody. How are you all out there? Are you surviving? I know some states the coronavirus is like it used to be in New York. And you've got all kinds of problems, but in any event, I'm hoping that you're all okay and that you're surviving this onslaught. This is certainly one of the worst times I've seen in my lifetime. What a way, I'm coming toward. This is depressing to say, but I'm coming towards the end of my life, and. And plus, I've got wheezing. Oh, the pollen. I don't know. Anyway, I'm coming towards the end of my life, and I would just like it to be in really good times rather than really bad times. Just saying. Just saying. Anyway, where is everybody? Nobody's calling me? Is anybody out there? Hey? I know I put down 10:55 on Facebook. But most people know they can call me now, okay? All right, well, I'll just sit here waiting. I was going to play something, but if I play something, then somebody will ring, and then it'll be interrupted. So I would rather we get a full house of people here, and then we can do it. Here comes Charlie Wallace, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, Charlie. Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
There he is, folks. Let me see here. Let me just let me go over to the Zoom panel here. And then I've got to do something here. I got to put it in gallery view, and we do that. And there they are, ladies and gentlemen. So far we got Brian, and we got Charlie, and now we've got Rob, and now we've got Jeff. You notice I don't have to go through all the stuff of having to,
Yes, wonderful.
put people up and everything.
No complaining.
Well,
Yeah.
no, but I don't say, like, which one? Oh, Rob. Okay, let me put Rob in there, and we'll put so-and-so in there. I just, here they are, folks, all assembled already,
I heard Bobby Slayton doing a Skechers radio or satellite commercial. Have you heard that before?
No, I haven't, but I do know he has a relationship with Skechers.
Yeah, I really, they use that New York style, as a...
Yeah, and I do know that he the guy who owns Skechers loves Bobby's act. And,
really?
And supplies him with shoes and everything else.
Oh my gosh!
Look who's all bundled up tonight, Rob. In this weather, you're bundled up like that?
The air conditioning's on in here. It's
Oh,
cool.
I see. Yeah, it gets really cold. I actually had to turn the air conditioning down in here because it was getting so cold earlier that, It was ridiculous. Has anybody noticed that there's only light coming from one side of me?
Yes.
Yeah, I see it now.
See,
It looks better.
if I were to turn this off, you'd see what I mean. See, I turn it on, and there's the light. I'm kind of on one side. Well, it's because the other light went out. So I've been spending weeks dealing with Elgato to finally get them to replace it. And today they finally sent me all the shipping stuff and everything. So I just shipped it off. So maybe in about a week and a half, I'll have another light over on this side over here. So, you know, so I won't look like I have half a face or whatever. So, but, so how, let me see here. I want to play you something. I don't know if somebody else is going to join us right now, but are you guys familiar with the Lincoln Project?
Yep.
The Lincoln Project has been producing these incredible videos, these spots. They're like 1 minute spots, and supposedly Kellyanne Conway's husband is one of the people doing this because he so hates Trump. He's part of this organization. And they produce, the best way I can describe it is they produce commercials that are anti-Trump. They say they're not pro any particular person who's running, but they're anti-Trump. And so all these ads that they run are anti-Trump. And well, let me play one of them. And if somebody else calls here, well, I can always mute him if he calls. Okay. In fact, I can actually mute all of you. That's what I'll do, as a matter of fact. That way, okay, mute all. Okay, so you won't be able to talk while this is on. Here, listen to this. You guys will hear it, but you won't see it. Okay, all right, here we go.
Donald Trump is playing pretend again, saying he's the one to take on China. They can't wait. They know who Donald Trump is. Weak, corrupt, ridiculed. China beats him every time. No matter what he says, China's got his number.
Trump even begged Chinese leader Xi to help him win re-election. Like a dog.
Trade negotiations? China won. Trump's tariffs? They laughed as Trump hit American families with higher taxes. Trump's trade war? Farms and small businesses went bankrupt. China's military? Expanding without American leadership in the region. President Xi? Trump rolls over for China's president every time. Is it Ivanka's secret deals in China? Is it the $250 million debt Trump owed the Bank of China? It doesn't matter, because when it comes to Trump, China can't lose. The Lincoln Project is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Now, all of those spots, let's see here. All participants, mute all, it says here. But I don't want to mute anybody. I want to unmute everybody. Ask to unmute. Okay. All right. You can all unmute yourselves now, I think. Okay, there we go. Just unmute yourselves. I can also probably do it here, but... well, let me see here. Charlie, you're still muted. Brian, you're not muted. But then again, you played this game before. Ask to unmute, okay? Ask to unmute, okay? Ask to unmute. Ask to unmute. It's very easy to mute everybody. It's unmute. Okay, there we go. You're all unmuted. Well, wait a minute. Jeff Stein isn't unmuted. There we go. There we go. Okay. All right. All right. We're all unmuted. Well, what did you think? That was one of the nicer ones, by the way.
Yeah, that can be vicious on those.
Yeah.
Those are Republicans.
Those are Republicans. Yeah. It's a Republican
And
group.
Bolton's claiming a couple of those items already, right? In his book.
Who?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, they had a big list of them tonight.
Yeah, yeah.
Really?
But, I mean, there are some of these spots are just vicious. I mean, they're just, well, maybe not vicious or true, but, you know. What do you think, Phil?
I think everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Oh, I see. That's the new Phil with hormone treatment. Everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Yeah, I didn't agree with the premise of the commercial.
What was the premise of the commercial?
That China was taking advantage of Trump, that he was like a dog, and yada yada yada. This is just lowlifes that.
Wait a minute, lowlifes? These are
they
some
want
of them.
power
I don't
too.
have a list of who's on the Lincoln.
Yeah, well, if it's Kelly Conway's husband, he's one.
Well, wait a minute. Let me look it up here, and we will see if we can
Go ahead, Rob.
Lincoln Project.
I was going to ask Phil a question while you're looking that up, and that is that you say that Trump has kept all of his campaign promises except one major one.
Yeah, what was that?
And that is that he was only going to hire the best people, but everybody he hires, and then, like he said about Bolton, he was a washed-up guy when we brought him on. So
he gave him a chance. You know, the thing about Bolton. The thing about Bolton is that he's been a hawk. He was a hawk under Bush. I'm a hawk, you know. I kind of liked a lot of the things that Bolton had to say, but Trump didn't want to get us into another war, and therefore, Bolton and Trump were.
What about Mattis?
Oh, wait a minute. You know what? I've been doing this, and I didn't change the video so that people can see you all.
Well,
they can just hear you. There we go,
well,
folks. There they are.
You went through the Bolton
I'm
thing
sorry
last
about
night.
that.
Yeah, okay, it's the same thing. I haven't changed my opinion.
Okay, but what about Mattis? And you can just go on.
Is a person that was not in alignment with Trump on his foreign policy and his dealings with other countries. It turns out that Mattis was right when and Trump eventually did what Mattis wanted him to do, but Mattis pulled the plug before Trump turned his direction on Syria and leaving.
Where do you get this information,
Iraq.
Phil? Where are you getting this information from? These sound like talking
Why do
points.
you always ask me where do I get the information?
Because I'd like a
Broken
reference.
record?
I'd like a reference.
Yeah. No, you're a broken record. That's what you
I'm not
are.
a
You know where
broken
I get
record.
it.
I want a reference.
Okay.
Where did you hear this? Because these aren't your ideas, okay?
Yes, they are my
These are
ideas, and
somebody's
they're my
talking
observations.
points that you.
No, they're my observations based on the news that I watch.
Did Trump bring back the coal industry?
Much more so than Obama that wanted to destroy it, and
Hey,
so
no,
did
he
Hillary.
promised to bring it back. It's
Yeah,
actually
well,
worse
it's a
off
lot
now than it was when he took
No,
office.
it's not. Hillary wanted told people to start looking for jobs.
Phil, let me ask you a question.
Get retrained.
Because you're not going to answer my question about where you got your information. Do you think coal is relevant today?
Well, it seems as though China buys coal and they're buying it from North Korea. So how relevant is it? There's a customer for coal. All right.
There won't be in a few
and
years.
if you make steel, what is steel made from? If you bring steel industry back to the United States, steel is made from coal.
Is it anybody? Yes,
No, it's not made
John.
from coal.
It's coke.
They use coal to make it, but it's not.
Yeah,
made
they
from coal.
use coal to make steel.
But they can make
we
it from
don't wanna-
anything. They don't need coal.
We don't want to bring steel back to this country
No,
because
you don't want to bring steel back.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let him finish. Let him
we
finish.
can't compete with China and those people with steel. We don't want to compete with those
You
guys.
don't have to compete with them.
To bring
gotta-
to bring steel back would be competing with them. Let them have that business.
We
Who
we
needs
can
it?
use that. We can use that steel here. You know, we don't have to buy Chinese steel. We buy a lot of
more
steel.
to make
Why
it
don't we buy it
ourselves
from the
than to
Chinese?
buy it from China. So why would you want to bring it back if it costs you more to make it here
For
than
the
you can
same-
buy it there
Okay,
cheaper?
John, for the same reason that you want to give people $15 an hour minimum wage instead of $7, you want to pay more money. Well, you have to pay more to put Americans to work.
We just lost.
And
John.
that's
Wait,
just, and if you want to
you're
have
talking
the
to the
lifestyle, hold it,
Phil.
hold it. If you want to have
Phil,
the
you're talking to
lifestyle-
the wall because he. Oh, there's John again. Okay.
If you want to have the lifestyle that we want in this country,
what
then,
lifestyle is that, Phil?
You know, some people call it the picket fence, own your own house, you know, be able to send your kids to college.
When's that coming back?
Well, when the steel industry starts making steel again in this country.
When's that coming back, Phil?
Well, it'll come back. And you know, when you put people to work, then it'll come back.
It's gonna.
And we
Things are
had
going to
a
come
vi-
back once Trump is out of office.
we've
Phil,
had a-
Phil.
We've had a very
Trump-
vibrant economy.
Trump. What do you mean a very vibrant economy?
No different than when Obama was in office. Really, no different.
Obama.
It became
was a
very
1%
vibrant
growth.
under Obama and
Yeah.
continued its vibrancy
Yeah,
courtesy
no
of
different.
Obama. But you know what's happened since then?
Yeah, things got the lowest unemployment in 50 years.
Wait a minute, not now.
Well, hey, you manufacture a virus.
Well, wait a
and
minute.
you
Oh, you
shut down the economy.
who manufactured a virus?
The Chinese.
No, they didn't.
Wrong country.
Yeah, in Wuhan.
No, they
And-
didn't, Phil.
Yeah, okay. No, they didn't. But all of a sudden, it broke out in Wuhan in December, and then it came to us in January. So you're telling me?
Do you
that
know there are
we did it in
people
January?
overseas?
We went back in time.
Do you
and went
know
to
there are
Wuhan?
people overseas that actually believe the United States manufactured the COVID
Yeah.
virus?
Yeah,
Wait a
and it's
minute. Let me
probably
finish. Will you
Russian
let me
propaganda.
finish?
Yeah.
That the United States did it so that they could get an economic leg up on the rest of the world?
I know that's what China did. To
No,
get
no.
economic-
These are people who are saying this, and these are not. This is not the Chinese. This is like the
Oh, yeah.
Italians, and there are French who are saying that. There were a lot of people who felt that this was a plot on the part of the United States to create a virus to decimate
you're
the
spreading
economies of the
such-
rest of the Western
That
world.
is such bullshit.
Well, so is what you said
So is
about the
what- yeah, it's
Chinese.
no different.
Oh, you said bullshit. No, it's not. The China, just look at the dates of when the Wuhan virus emerged, and the Chinese aren't. They are masters of misinformation, and they're blaming the United States. Come on, you're falling for that stuff. What do you tune into Bots R Us? Come on.
QAnon.
Yeah.
QAnon.
Yeah. Well, this president's done a lot to take care of the virus.
Yes, he has.
What has he done? He hasn't done shit.
He hasn't even had
He's
to wear a
denying
mask.
it. He's denying it.
invincible.
He's denying it. They asked him, what kind of grade would you give yourself? And he said something like, I give myself an A.
Of course.
Yeah.
What
So
did he do? He did nothing. He hid in a bunker for a while, but he did nothing else.
What about all the ventilators that got made? What about all the PPE?
What about 120,000 dead.
About all the money.
Yeah, and what about the 120,000 dead, Phil?
What about cutting off
What
China?
about the 120,000 dead?
Yeah, you can blame.
What about the
40,000
120,000 dead?
40% of them on your man Como.
Oh, really? Why?
Why? Because he was late to the party. He even admitted being late to the party. He said that he should have shut down like California did a week earlier, and that's why you've got all those deaths.
Oh no,
And
we
you
didn't.
know,
We didn't.
40
It didn't cause that as many deaths as
oh,
you're
no.
claiming. You're claiming 80,000
I thought you
deaths.
said every life
no,
matters.
80,000 deaths, Phil. No, not with 1 week.
Yeah,
no,
and it could have been a
no.
million
But
if
I would
Trump didn't
say,
shut 'em
I
down.
would say that a month and a half to 2 months of not closing down the East Coast to European travel cost us 80,000 lives.
And you can blame the Chinese for that too, and I'll tell you
Wait
why.
a minute, wait a minute. What are you looking? What are you showing us,
understand.
Brian?
I can't see it.
Brian, what do you?
Tony's he's host needs to unmute. I can't.
Yeah, Tony's muted.
He's
don't-
muted. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Asked to unmute that Brian. Asked to unmute Charlie Wallace.
Yeah, it's saying that the host has to unmute participants. I don't know if there's
Okay,
because
there
you
you
muted
go. There
everybody.
we go. Well, I don't know why that happened because I muted all and then I unmuted everybody.
I'm gonna try it again. I'm gonna mute myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't unmute.
No, you still have to unmute every time.
I have to unmute him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian
I
can't
had,
unmute
I had to
himself.
cough, so I muted myself, and it wouldn't let me unmute.
Oh, okay. Well, I just
Yeah, and then Tony got on because I got off and got back on, and I couldn't. So maybe there's an option. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad.
Try it with Phil. Don't unmute.
Yeah, Phil. Why don't you try muting yourself?
I love you too.
Does that mean I have 1 minute left? Or that you're happy to see
signals.
me?
From Brian to everyone, I can't unmute myself. Oh, there was a chat thing there.
Yeah, but nobody's
Why
reading the
does it say
chat.
chat? And then it says one.
Hmm?
On mine it says chat and it says one.
Oh.
Yeah, then you click on that and it has. I just said I couldn't unmute myself, but
And once you click on it,
Oh, I see. That's what it is.
The
Yeah.
one goes away.
I see. Okay. All right. All right.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Thank you.
Hey, did you hear Trump popularized the Juneteenth holiday?
Yeah.
He made
It
it
was
famous.
all Trump.
Yeah, he made it relevant.
Popularized.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
right.
popularized.
Nobody
Yeah.
had heard of it. Nobody had heard of it before that.
Nobody had heard of it, and
Nope.
he popularized
You know what
it.
Juneteenth meant to me, and when I was at Richmond, that there was going to
Big
be a riot.
parties.
No riot.
Oh, there are big parties. Lake Merritt, big parties. Big
Well, I
parties.
found out
in
that-
Richmond, you went to Nickel Park, and you had to be there with tear gas because there was always a riot and rock throwing and all
You
sorts.
gotta leave on time.
No, it was just the way they partied.
or as you called it, Chokehold Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, my friends, my friends that live in Oakland. I mean, Juneteenth is a big barbecue party and huge.
Well, I'd never heard of it before, but I didn't hear about it courtesy of Donald Trump. You know.
Oh, of course not.
You know, but by the way, did you hear the best one from Bolton? That he thought that Finland was part of the Soviet Union,
Yeah.
part of Russia. What? Finland?
It was a satellite of the USSR.
When? Finland? Never. Not in
yeah.
our lifetime, Phil.
Yeah, it was this. It
No.
was a satellite. The USSR.
No, it wasn't, Phil. No. Somebody look that up, will you? Just look it up. Brian, look it
You're
up.
wrong
Somebody.
about that one, Phil.
No, I don't think so.
I hope.
Just look it up.
It's hard.
Well,
not
we're gonna have
Russia.
if you say that one more time, this whole audience is gonna get really drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
didn't say
hope
Russia.
somebody.
I said the
Ru-
USSR.
I studied Russian in college. Finland was never a satellite of Russia.
Okay, comrade, because you can speak Russian, you know, now all of a sudden you know about Finland's.
Yeah, I know which countries were satellites of Russia. Finland was not one of them.
He also
Finland.
didn't know that Great Britain had nuclear weapons.
Yeah,
I
they didn't know
hope-
that either. Yeah.
I hope somebody is writing all of these down
Satellite,
yes.
because this would be the most unbelievable book.
Rob,
Just those sentences.
It's
Just those
nuclear.
sentences, one after another
Nuclear.
after another.
nuclear. You know.
Oh my gosh.
Who are you, George W. Bush?
Yeah. That's how I learned it.
The
Yeah,
Finnish
you-
No, I'm talking-
Democratic-
You got
I'm talking about the.
nuclear.
Now I mean the Trumpisms, all these Trump things that he says every day. He has like one every day he talks. There's something that he just says out of his mouth that is so untrue.
I'm sure somebody's going to have a book of tweets. Somebody's going to have, you know, all
Oh
of
yeah.
He's going to go down in history as the worst president ever in this country.
The rewriting
Mark
of
my
history.
words.
Phil, what did you think
I
about
think
this?
he already
Supreme
is
Court decision?
accomplished that.
But history hasn't written it yet.
Well,
Well,
I'll write it down
okay,
just
what'd you
in
find?
case.
Phil, what did you think about the Supreme Court decision?
Well, I think that Trump appointed some honest judges. They did. Yeah, and now, of course, Roberts was appointed by Bush,
Right.
but you know, Gorsuch went again. Not Gorsuch. Gorsuch went
Yeah,
again.
Gorsuch went against him.
And also,
Kavanaugh's voted
And
with
yesterday,
Trump all along.
yesterday
on the
it was Gorsuch and what's his name, the new guy,
Roberts.
Kavanaugh.
Robert.
Kavanaugh.
Roberts.
No,
No,
no.
on the gay one, it was Gorsuch that went over, but on the DACA thing, none of Trump's went over. It was just
Right.
four
Well,
That's
liberals.
Roberts.
You
yeah,
know,
Robert. Yeah.
But what it says is that Josh is right, that these judges are really independent, and
As it should be.
and I believe that they based it on what's constitutional and not. Even though the DACA thing, they said that Trump that Obama's thing was not constitutional, and all of the justices agreed with that.
Right.
It was something that Sessions did that got it thrown out, and they were going to have to refile, but because of timing and the summer, that they'll never get it in before the election. right?
Well, in any event, he lost twice this week.
Yeah, no, I think America
Wait,
won
Phil.
twice.
America.
Yeah.
Boy.
Trump lost, America won.
Yeah, yeah. And when he loses in the fall, America's going to win.
Oh, America's going to celebrate.
Losing in the
Huge.
fall.
It's going to be that
Oh,
night.
it's going to be
You
the
know-
biggest party.
Bigly.
The Trump is going to have camps for you guys. You're going to love it. You know, just get on the train. You know,
Trump's gonna run the
Trump
Russia.
train.
Hey, Kevin, how are you? It's funny. People suddenly just sneak up on us now.
Yeah, they pop out.
Yeah, yeah.
Popping.
Yeah. I tend to do it this way rather than make people go into the waiting room because then I'll never see it, you know, because I'm so far out of it now. I'm gone.
Does anybody else see a waiting room? I don't see it.
Yeah, there's a waiting room. You could set it up that way.
Yeah, I could set it
So
up.
that people don't join the meeting until the moderator says, that's how my Skype is set up for business. Because sometimes we're talking while we're waiting for customers and you want to make sure you admit them.
Yeah. Well, the
sounds like a
reason
great
the reason I do it up, I get everything ready before the show, and then I make the waiting room exist because then if I'm doing the show and they come in, you know, I can also create it so that everybody comes on here muted and I can unmute them. You know. Oh, what's this? Oh yeah, 3 days to slow the spread.
Oh yeah, 120 now.
Oh,
120. He keeps crossing it off.
26 states have seen a surge in this fake pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and California is finally following New York. Newsom's telling everybody to wear masks
So is Florida.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Even waiting for the bus everywhere they want.
I think that's a good
Workplace.
idea.
Today may have been the last day for Cuomo, maybe tomorrow, but he did his thank you to everybody today. And
What a
we're going to
blessing.
miss him. We're going to miss him. Jeez, he was great. Oh, you
I
need
meet
me?
Kevin.
Kevin,
He did a
you're
great job.
muted, Kevin? Why were you muted?
Yeah,
He
I
might have
think
muted
it's
himself.
Gotta unmute him.
It's automatically when you come on. I guess we're automatically muted.
No, you shouldn't be, though, because I don't have it set for that.
I was able to unmute myself. Maybe did you send me? Was that?
do it now.
like that said unmute yourself.
Mute yourself. Let me see if I can unmute you.
All right. There's the mute.
Got him. Okay, let's go on with the
There
show
we
now.
go.
Draw.
Congratulations. See you, Phil.
Phil, try to unmute yourself.
Try. Keep
I can
trying.
hear him. I can hear
Keep
him.
trying. Try some more.
Like,
Oh, yeah, we can hear you, Phil. Fine.
Oh,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah, we can
Good.
hear
you. We can hear
Perfect. Yes.
Anyway, let's
Perfect.
get on with the show here.
yeah, Phil, right? Yeah,
He's going to hang up and call back
you're a
in.
Democrat now.
No,
okay.
even I hung up and called back, and you're still muted.
No, you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin came
So-
unmuted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like when you go in the waiting room, you're
I
muted.
just asked to unmute Phil.
Ray Renati's coming on.
Ray
too.
just joined.
Yeah.
Phil, I asked you to unmute.
He's trying to type up a joke.
I copied the thing. This is what it says.
How to unmute Ray.
Mhm.
It-
And
it's-
unmute
Ray's gonna have a
Ray.
hard time.
Wow, everybody's coming on muted tonight.
Yeah, maybe something you pressed when you when you.
No, that's
You
it.
muted us all. I think that turned it on for the whole session.
now.
Okay. Oh, that probably turned it on for anybody who calls. I see. Okay.
And anybody who mutes
Wait a minute,
themselves.
Ray,
once you do that.
unmute
Yeah,
yourself.
because Ray always mutes himself, so he's gonna have a hard time.
I asked you to unmute.
I did.
No.
Okay, I'm unmuted, but I
okay.
muted back because I didn't want the wind noise to
Oh.
bother you.
No. Okay.
So
well,
there's some setting that
yeah.
Don't mute for a little while.
By the way, I
until-
want to apologize to my audience for unmuting Phil.
I better mute, I think.
Okay.
Windy.
Mhm.
You have to raise
I'm
your
on the
hand.
Baylands, man.
Where,
Nice.
by Fremont?
Palo Alto.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I come out here almost every day, yeah. It's nice.
So that's close to 101, right? Is that close to Freeway
Yeah.
101?
Yeah, 101's right down there where you
Oh,
see.
okay.
Yeah.
So what
By
exit is
there
it
the other
near?
day, look for you.
Oh,
What exit?
It's near Embarcadero, Oregon Expressway.
Ah, got it. Okay.
That's by Facebook.
Not university?
Google.
Almost, yeah. It's between Google and Facebook, like halfway in between. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, it's great.
Anything right wing, or they'll push you in the water.
Okay. Anyway, I've got a little bit of information here that Rob will be especially interested in.
Should I mute?
Yeah, turn off your
Mute and then raise your hand if you want to talk.
Okay. I'll mute.
Okay. I think he can. He should be able to unmute himself, but
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's not working tonight. I mean, I can check after the show's over. I'll check.
It might be your waiting room setting or something.
No, there is a thing I go to that's like for the what do you call it? Let me see here. I don't know where the tools are. There's a page I go to that has all the tools and everything. And
I think it was after you did the Lincoln group thing.
Really?
Yeah. Then you asked us all to unmute, and then we couldn't go back and forth after that.
Let's see here. Oh, people! It says here you can unmute yourself. I have it set so you can unmute yourself. It says
I'll try.
Unmute themselves. Okay. All right. Now.
Nope, Rob can't unmute him. Gotta unmute him.
There's a setting.
Hold on a second. I have a thing here that says unmute themselves. Oh, yeah. I see. I haven't got it switched on. Okay. Now try it.
Setting.
Now
There's
try it, Rob. There we go.
Hey.
Okay. I found it. Anyway, let me get to this. Okay, let's not. I hate spending time on technical stuff, and it's been great with this Zoom because I haven't had to until now. Gonna like this, Rob.
Curve.
Operator error.
The new CEO of the U.S. Agency for Global Media, Michael Pack, has fired the heads of Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, Radio Free Asia, Radio Cuba Broadcasting, the Middle East Broadcasting Network, and Open Technology Fund, and all current members of the station's boards. Pack, a conservative filmmaker and associate of Steve Bannon, was appointed by President Trump. He fired Radio Free Asia's Bei Fang, RFE-RL's James Fly, the Office of Cuba Broadcasting Emilio Vasquez, the Open Technology Fund's Libby Liu, and the Middle East Broadcasting Network's Alberto Fernandez on Wednesday, and replaced them with a bipartisan board members for each station with Trump administration political appointees.
Maybe it'll be a job opening for you.
Fang will continue as executive editor of Radio Free Asia pursuant to the condition of her appointment last November, and Vasquez, whose position was interim director, will continue at the Office of the Cuba Broadcasting for now. Anyway, an appointee of Trump's fired everybody at Radio Free, basically at Radio Free Europe.
Get rid of them. That's his plan.
And they say that what they're doing is they're going to replace them with Trump people who Pack's appointment and Senate confirmation raised concerns from Democrats and other observers that the independent agencies would become partisan outlets disseminating Trump administration messages.
Of course.
Yep.
And that's
Why else would
happen.
he fire them?
So once after the election, those guys all get cleaned out.
It's not for the ratings.
Yeah. So, let's see here. I cannot unmute myself, says Brian Neary. Brian, you can't unmute yourself?
No, I'm good now.
I'm
good now. That was earlier.
That was
That's
earlier.
It's old news,
Okay.
as opposed to fake news.
All right. Well, now you all should be able to unmute yourself if you mute yourself. Okay. Anyway, where were we? So, just another Trumpy
Another
thing.
day in paradise.
Another Trumpy thing going on.
Some of the stuff that Bolton said.
Mm-hmm.
Journalists should be executed. This is what Trump was saying to them.
Yeah.
Talks consistently about law and order. Gassed Americans peacefully protesting. That was the photo op.
Mm-hmm.
Just keeps going on and on. Said invading Venezuela would be cool.
Mm-hmm. Would be cool?
That's what
cool, yeah.
What's his name wanted? Not Trump.
He backed him up saying that would be cool to do it.
So
I
anyway,
mean, Bolton, even if they don't release the book, I mean, everything's out there already, right?
yeah, well,
Oh,
you know,
they
I mean,
released the book.
it's amazing how many of us, if we didn't, my question is, if we didn't like Bolton before, should we like him any more for this?
No,
No.
he's still a horrible guy.
He's a piece of shit.
Yeah, he's still a piece of shit.
But you love him because he.
No,
If he was
not
a
at all.
patriot, he would have
No.
said that during the impeachment.
You know, when
He
you're a
wouldn't have
piece of
waited till
shit,
now.
Right.
when you're a piece of shit, and another piece of shit says you're a piece of shit, then I guess you better take it to the fucking bank.
Isn't that when two negatives repel one another?
No, you take it to the bank.
These are the best that America has to offer that Trump was going to hire.
Cream of the crap. Is what
Cream
I
of the
call it.
crap.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
gonna drain
Well,
the
he got rid of
swamp.
it.
This shit just clogs the toilet. That's
Well,
all.
you know, it's like he almost thinks being having the presidency it gave him the ability to really do another season of The Apprentice,
Yeah.
because he's always firing this person and firing that person.
You got
What
music.
the hell's that?
I don't know. It sounds like every car that passes by my street. What is that, Phil? Is that you, Phil?
Oh, no.
Well, who is it?
It's Fred.
Huh? Is it John Larkin?
Yeah, I was
Fred's watching
sorry
TV
about
again.
that.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so you guys take over. I'm tired.
Well, Texas is trying to put New York down because we've had over 11,000 new COVID cases in the last 3 days, and we're still rising.
And Oklahoma, right
Wow.
behind you guys.
Yep. And they're going to
Might
be
wanna
there's going to
try
be a
something
rally there in
different.
a couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oklahoma's going for
Did they,
number one.
I'll take the lead then.
Did Oklahoma get enough actors from their Craigslist ad to?
Hey, why don't you guys call
Really?
a cop? Oh, you can't call a cop. They all quit. You know?
Oh.
Well, that's their fault.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
much for being just a couple of bad apples.
Would it be
Yeah.
funny if in the cities where they quit, crime goes down?
Actually, look, like New York,
Yeah.
the crime is up 250% on murders.
On murders. Yeah, but we had, I think, last year no murders at all, or maybe one.
Well,
or
last year
some
you didn't have the
amazingly
virus.
low amount. What?
You didn't have the virus last year. You didn't have de Blasio. Well, you did have de Blasio, but you know.
You know what
there's,
we are thinking of doing here in New York, and Cuomo brought this up today. When we were the infected capital of America, Florida would not allow anybody to come from New York to Florida without being quarantined for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we're thinking of doing the same thing with Florida.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, with
I don't
anybody.
think the Floridians want to go to New York.
Oh, you really?
They all moved down there.
Yeah, but they got to come up and see relatives.
See, that was what I didn't finish saying when Brian started talking about muting was that when the Chinese, when Trump closed down the Chinese to travel to the United States, what they did in China was they stopped travel in China from Wuhan to anywhere else in China. But they allowed the Chinese people to travel to the U.S. and for almost a month and to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So the Chinese allowed them to leave, but didn't allow them to travel within China. And that's why you wound up with all of these people infected in Spain and Italy and France and England, because the Chinese didn't stop the Chinese from traveling. They locked down Wuhan, but they didn't lock them down to the rest of the world.
What is this you sent me, Kevin?
It was just an ad that was on Twitter about them trying to get people to stand behind Trump. Craigslist ad.
Oh, really?
Community service.
Oh, really?
And
You know, they got 1 million people applied to go to that thing.
Yeah, well, they're trying
They
to
put ads on Facebook. I mean,
trying to pay
on
people.
Craigslist.
He couldn't.
They're advertising for people on Craigslist.
He couldn't get 1 million people to come to his inauguration. Do you think he's going to be able to get 1 million people to go see him speak?
Come on. He had
was
the
3
most
million.
people in his inauguration than any other president
ad in
ever. We all know
3
that.
million,
He was
3.5.
the biggest.
The bigliest.
Mhm.
Ever.
What is this, Kevin? Is this for real or is this phony?
It
Oh,
was,
that's
I don't know,
real.
it was on Twitter the other day when he posted his little thing.
Oh,
about
he's
a
just
million.
almost a million
Oh,
people.
it was on
requesting
Twitter. It must be true.
for Saturday
No,
Night
it's not
Rally in Tulsa,
necessarily. I
Oklahoma.
just sent it to show him. But there
No,
was
well,
a Craigslist ad too.
It wouldn't
Yeah.
be the first time he's
That's
hired
true,
people.
too.
But
If you go to
so-
the next
so-
next picture, there's the Craigslist ad.
Somebody wrote back, lots of luck, sure, Spanky. Is this why you're having to pay excited, enthusiastic minority actors and actresses on Craigslist to hold signs? What? Wow.
Yeah, the second picture is the Craigslist ad.
Oh, let me see here. Now, how
And
do I
it
go
shows
to-
the stadium
okay.
is where the
Now I got your jewel thing. Wait a minute. Let me...
You're just trying to create shovel-ready jobs.
That's right. Probably,
here
they
we
probably
go.
get free posters to
Yeah,
go.
actors needed June 20th. Excited, enthusiastic minority actors and actresses need to hold signs at event in Tulsa. Send headshot resume for early consideration.
Oh my
This
God.
may be applied
Hey,
towards community
Alex?
service.
He's
if
on
necessary.
Craigslist looking for black friends. My God, that's
Maybe
so
maybe
sad.
maybe pay scale.
Get a free poster. And, no, it counts as community service too.
Wow.
Charlie, if you apply, I will pay for your plane ticket to go and be behind him, please.
Oh yeah, I'll pitch
I will
in
give
that
you
one,
masks and everything.
I'll
Okay.
pitch in. I'll bet you get a mask that says Trump 2020 on it.
He'll want you to take and hold one of his machines though.
Yeah.
I
Trump's
saw
my
I
friend.
saw one of these bright Trump people, one of the woman who was saying, "Well, I want to see him speak, and it's worth it to me." She said, "And let's face it, the coronavirus is there's a flu every winter. You can get that, and you could die." And I hated to tell her that I had heard somewhere that there were vaccines against those flus.
Yeah.
But there isn't
buy
a
it.
vaccine for this one. Now, if you can get a vaccine for this one, then show up.
Well,
Otherwise,
you know, it's all started from 5G. It's 5G that started.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
5G started.
Yeah.
As she called somebody on her phone, right?
yeah. I mean, the idiocy that's going on in this country right now, especially where this virus is concerned. I mean, everybody just calm down. Realize
Bizarre.
it's dangerous and you got to do your part. Oh, here we have competing scenery now on our
Yeah.
program.
If you look on YouTube, it's on top of each other too. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I know. It's right on top of each other. There's the
No
Bail.
picture of mine. Usually they're sleeping in my garden.
That's what the what do they call it? The Baylands or something down below, and the other is what?
Santa Cruz Mountain-ish, sort of.
Yeah.
Going up north.
Well, if anybody has any other scenery they want to show us, let me know. You know.
I got the San Benito Mountains, but they're covered by a house.
You're covered
Homeless
by a
people in
house.
Tenderloin.
Yeah.
The Tenderloin. Yeah, that's what we need a shot of down.
Well, interview some tent people.
Yeah.
My friends used to own Ruby Sky.
Let's talk about something else
Oh,
here
yeah.
for a second. This is something that was in the news yesterday, and I should have brought it up yesterday, but we were having a lot of fun yesterday, and today we're just kind of looking at Phil with our mouths agape. Aunt Jemima
Oh boy.
and the
Quaker
company
Oats
that
guy.
does Uncle Ben.
Uncle Ben's and now the Quaker Oats guy.
Why the Quaker Oats guy? He's just a Quaker.
No, the Quaker Oats guy.
What about Crackle Barrel?
Why is that a bad
Yeah.
F? Is
When
that
they
a
gonna change
Cracker Barrel. I'm very
It's,
offended by Crackle Barrel.
It's
Oh, there we go.
discriminates against
Hold it up to
Barbara
your
Bush.
camera. Hold it up to your camera.
That's the modern.
Tony, hold it up to the
Save
camera.
that. That's
on.
Now,
very Quaker
first of all, hold it right up. Hold it right up to the camera so we
Right
can
up
see
there.
it. So we can see it
Get it
large.
bigger.
Closer.
Larger,
Closer.
Tony. Closer.
There you
There
go.
you go. Now,
There you
is
go.
that the
It'll be a
Aunt Jemima?
collector's item now.
What is wrong with that Aunt Jemima?
Is she Mammy really? Like from Gone with the Wind? Or
got
no?
extra
No. I'd say maybe 20 years ago, they got rid of the one with the
Longer than
cloth
that.
on her
Yeah, she
head,
used to-
and they
used to be a
replaced
mammy.
it with that very modern black woman.
Yeah,
Keep that bottle. It's going to be worth something someday.
Yeah, right.
Come on, waffles.
You know.
What about Mrs. Butterworth's?
Yeah. How do you feel?
Same thing.
Let's ask Charlie, because Charlie is the token black on our show. Well, how do you feel, Charlie, about Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben?
I never had a problem with them. We used Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben when we were growing up.
Yeah.
Did you ever look at them and go, this is not
Before
a great...
I was diabetic, I used real maple syrup, not that imitation crap.
Well, Ray, you got your hand up.
I was in a play last year about Aunt Jemima and the history of Aunt Jemima.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like me and 8 other black people. It was a blast. But I can't remember any of them having a problem with Aunt Jemima. I mean, it was sort of like a historical thing. And this woman, there was a real Aunt Jemima, an actress. Her name was Nancy something.
Yeah.
And she used to travel around the country, and she was on TV commercials and all this stuff. And then there were a couple more.
Well, remember.
Well, there was one right before the Nancy. I can't remember her name, but she didn't do much. And then the Nancy was the main one. But,
the original Aunt Jemima actually was a millionaire, and she was a chef.
No, she wasn't.
Yes.
No.
1924.
No, Phil.
Okay, the
no.
original.
To begin with, Aunt Jemima pancake.
But the one right. Okay, never mind.
Aunt Jemima. Well, hold on a second.
Through,
Aunt Jemima pancake and syrup and whatever, the whole thing, I think is over 100 years old.
Yeah, she died in 1924, and the royalties that they used for her likeness.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah, she was a
but
millionaire.
She was not a millionaire, though. That came later.
Her family,
what was
maybe.
her name, Phil? Nancy what?
I don't remember her name.
Nancy. Okay, well,
but
yeah.
it couldn't
there
have
were
been
2
on
families
television.
that sued for the estate. She later. Oh, never mind.
Okay, hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Play,
I will stop all the arguments here. Aunt Jemima is a brand of pancake mix, syrup, and other breakfast foods. The Aunt Jemima pancake mix debuted. When do you figure it debuted? Anybody have a guess?
90.
Really?
I would say
pancake mix later.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I think
syrup was a lot.
40s.
You ready for this?
I think 20s.
24?
It was the first ready-made mix, by the way. The first ready mix. And it debuted in 1889.
Wow.
Ooh.
I said 1890. Not bad for a Jew.
It was buckwheat.
The brand is
wasn't it?
currently owned by Quaker Oats and blah, blah, blah. Aunt Jemima is based on the common mammy stereotype, a character in minstrel shows in the late 1800s. Her skin is dark and dewy with a pearly white smile. She wears a scarf over her head and a polka dot dress with a white collar similar to the common attire and physical features of the mammy characters throughout history. A character named Aunt Jemima appeared on the stage in Washington, D.C. as early as 1864.
My mother-in-law used to.
That's right.
Used to collect the mammy statues. You know, the mammy figures.
Mm-hmm.
She used to collect those.
Those
They were a hot item.
That would make that first one 80 years old when she died.
Yeah. The first one, to begin with, is it based on that woman?
I think so.
It's changed over
Probably,
the
yeah.
years, but
Yeah,
The main woman, her name was Nancy. If you look on Wikipedia, you'll see it. She was the one who was actually known around the world.
I remember this.
her name was Nancy
I remember the
Green. Wait a minute,
60s
hold on a second.
commercials with
An
Aunt
early
Jemima.
image of Aunt Jemima was based on a real image of Nancy Green, an
That's
original painting of whom was rendered by A.B. Frost, who is now well known as one of the great illustrators of the golden age of American illustration. The original
that's her.
version of the current Aunt Jemima was designed by H. Gene Miller, but he was officially credited. He also designed the original version of the current San Giorno Pizza Company logo. Anyway, the point is that my question is, that old mammy Aunt Jemima is gone. Been gone for a long time.
Yes.
Why do we need to get rid of this one? I mean, why, people, to begin with,
modern version.
I think Charlie would agree. It's not an unfavorable
She looks like a
attitude that
businesswoman.
people have about Aunt Jemima, because Aunt Jemima pancake mix. Who didn't like Aunt Jemima pancakes? Hey, we're having Aunt Jemima pancakes.
They're gonna bring back Sambos too.
Yeah,
I was gonna say Little Black Sambos. Remember Little Black Sambos?
Yes.
You should get the
They took the little black
version
off.
of
Well,
Aunt Jemima
that one
pancakes.
I couldn't see because Sambo, Little Black Sambo, and he was Little Black Sambo. He
Yeah.
wasn't Little
That one I
Negro
did like.
Sambo.
Well,
he
it went
wasn't
from that
Little
to Sambo,
N-word
yeah.
Sambo. He was Little Black Sambo.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it was a story written for kids by Rudyard Kipling, what he did was he got attacked by tigers and he made them run around in a circle so much they turned into butter. Okay, now there was nothing wrong with Little Black Sambo. He was a very smart kid, you know, and I always wondered, well, you know. But no, it was not the time to call a place Sambo's anymore. And it wasn't time for Aunt Jemima. And now Uncle Ben, who years ago they changed the image of Uncle Ben on the box, you know, so that it was just a good-looking kind of older black man. And these are representations of black people in American iconology. And we're kind of making them disappear.
Get rid of Mr. Clean. He's a skinhead.
We've been joined by Anthony
Aryan.
Smith. Wait a minute. Anthony, are you there? Anthony, are you there?
He's muted.
He's muted.
Anthony, well, wait a minute.
Muted.
Hold on a second. Let me see if we can. His
I have
camera's
to
off
commend
too.
Ray. He picks up the
Okay.
doggy's poop
Ask
with
to
a bag.
unmute.
So he's out in the Badlands.
Ask to
He has to
unmute.
unmute and he has to allow the camera too.
Anna Maria Esther.
Oh, we got somebody else.
Oh,
I think you better get the waiting room going because,
Oh, really? We should banish them.
well, I know you got two unknown.
And both
There you go.
Now there's
Oh, here
another
comes the Zoom
person.
bomb.
They're all
Are we
gonna
There's
getting
another
porn bombed?
person.
Oh, let's
Get
get
ready
porn
for
bombed.
porno.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
porn.
they can't zoom bomb because I because I have the
Oh, somebody
screen.
said hello.
Yeah, but they're all
Who
muted.
said hello? Who said hello?
They're all muted.
I heard
Are
somebody
you
say
there,
hello.
Anthony, Maria? Any of you?
All muted.
Okay,
There's
ready
Maria
for porn.
Isabel and a Maria Esther.
Okay, well, put
I
him.
think this is
Put
spam.
him,
Maria
put him
Isabel.
in waiting room.
Hello,
Put in waiting. Oh
Anthony's
no, not
gone.
Tony. I don't want to put Tony in the waiting room.
Maria.
Remove.
Maria, Maria.
Okay. Oh,
Oh, Fable Flores. Oh, there we go. Oh no.
This is
Waiting
the
room.
problem when you allow everybody.
okay. Wait a minute.
Here we
Uh-oh.
go. Here we
Remove.
go.
Remove.
There goes
Oh,
some
yeah.
porn.
Oh, Carmela
Okay, hold on a
Porn.
second. Okay, hold on one minute. Let me hold on a second. I've got to do something
Samsung
here.
7?
Let me just
Not gonna
enable the
demonetize
waiting
with the
room.
porn coming up.
Let me then let me get rid of this.
Maria Esther.
Chat. The chat room is going crazy too.
Hi,
Chat is going
Maria.
crazy.
Okay, let me see here. More. Let me see here. Remove.
Look at the chat.
Okay, there we go.
Oh yeah, I see.
I'm gonna skip
spam.
man.
Oh, here we go.
remove.
Guy says it's
Spam.
bullshit, man.
Remove. Okay, there we go. We're removing them,
What
and
the
we're gonna remove them.
No porn. This is very disappointing. You guys are terrible Zoom bombers. No porn.
Well, they
Come on.
can't do it.
Rookies. You're all rookies.
Let's see here.
¿Qué pasó?
Remove. Okay.
You
Let me
are
do something up
rookie.
here. This will make it easier
see
for
the
me.
Bombers.
Okay.
Mario,
Remove.
you're speaking.
Okay.
Benito.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Out of
Porn. Yeah, where's the porn? Come on.
Remove.
We got a dog pooping. That's the
You
point.
guys suck at bombing. You're very, very bad Zoom bombers. I'm telling you.
Remove.
Very disappointing.
Okay. Remove.
Alex.
Okay. Remove. Okay. There we go.
Flavio.
Samsung 7. We want to remove
Flavio
them.
Flores.
Samsung 7. This is a pain in the ass, isn't it? Remove.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess every night we're going to have to institute
It goes
right
so
after.
well.
Get rid of one.
was only a matter of time.
It was only
Can
an
you just
open
turn off
link.
the chat?
No, keep the chat on. It's pretty good.
Oh, okay.
Remove. Wait a minute. Hold on. Who am I? Who am I removing here? Wait a minute. Hold on a second.
Are you true?
Okay.
Sebastian, your English grammar is terrible.
I got to put my glasses on. This is too small.
And then you say, "Shut up, shit." Really?
Okay.
Shut up, shit.
Remove. Okay, and remove.
You just sit here and
remove. And let's see here. I can't get Fabio Flores to remove though. That's the problem.
Alex.
Huh?
I understood moron.
Fabio, are you there? Let me see. Okay. Oh, that's how I get
moron.
That's how I
Ooh,
get rid of.
Sebastian.
Okay, we only got two.
Moron.
We only got two more to get rid of here.
Espanol, please.
Sebastian Semeno, he's gonna
Name is
go.
Sebastian.
Okay, all right. I noticed that in order to do it, I have to.
Si hablo español. Oh.
And here comes. Where's Benito? Benito. Oh, there we go.
Bye, Benito.
Remove.
Adios.
Okay,
Adios,
and we go.
amigo.
Okay, remove. All right. How do we do? Okay. Remove. Remove. Remove.
One bomber
Okay.
walking the dog.
That's
That's right.
Remove.
Sorry.
Okay.
Started,
Remove.
there's a light inside there going up and down. I figured, oh, here comes the porn.
Remove. Okay. And remove. Okay. And remove. Okay. There we go. We got rid of them all. Yeah. Goodbye, you motherfucking cocksuckers. There we go.
The monetization
Okay.
for you.
Huh?
No more monetization.
No
That's
more
it.
monetization for me. Sebastian has entered the waiting room for his meeting. Oh, really?
Oh, adios.
Really? You have, huh, Sebastian? Goodbye. Bye-bye. There you go. Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah. How do they find out about this?
It's a good question.
Yeah, how do they find out?
Got it
that-
on Facebook. You got it on YouTube. That's all.
You
it
got
takes.
fans. You got fans everywhere, Alex.
Mucho papalavio.
Yeah, but what happened was these were all people who wanted to bomb me.
Yeah.
In other words, it was nobody like all of a sudden who said, "Oh, you know, I really gotta see Alex. You know, I gotta talk to Alex. You know."
Now you wish they built the wall.
Okay, remove that, remove them. They keep
There's
coming
no
into they
wall
keep
gonna
coming in
stop
they
that.
keep coming into the waiting room, but it doesn't matter. They're just wasting their time now. You know.
Yep.
So isn't that fun?
That's funny.
No.
See, one day when we did this show, I didn't know about this. I was doing it on. I think I was doing it during the daytime.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have it so they can't share their screen. Nobody can share their screen. But when you have share screen on, they can start sharing their screen with you. And I had vaginas with penises in them.
It was
I had all
very
kinds of pornography going on. And I finally, because I was new to Zoom, I didn't know what the hell was going on. Samsung 7 just tried again, but he's in there in the waiting room. And here comes.
Zoom lets you have backgrounds, right?
You could turn that off, I think.
I have some kind of picture in there, some sort. Hey, guys, don't even try. Don't even try.
I was listening. I was watching that, and I was driving. I almost crashed when I saw all the porn in there.
Yeah.
Oh, Alex, you seem cool. We're not going to bomb you. And the guy left. Remember?
Well, I think what we're going to have to do from here on in is after we get our initial citizen panel, I'm going to have to make it so people go into the waiting room.
I don't know, Alex. I think they'll know what time you come on. I think you're gonna have to admit people that you want.
Oh, I may do that. I may just,
I think you're gonna have to.
Yeah.
And just click the button, and there, as you see people you recognize.
It's a very easy thing.
What that does,
to do.
though, is that keeps new people from coming on.
Yeah, but they might come on with a camera and reasonably.
But you won't know till you let them in, right?
Well, when you look at Esther Marie and Isabel Marie and Flavio, you can kind of figure that.
Yeah, I don't know no Flavio.
Profiling now,
I
right?
don't know no Flavio.
Oh, good one.
And by the way,
just now we know how you used to work.
now you see, here's a Bob Pratt, and the question is Bob Pratt
Yeah, see?
an
There you go.
actual
That's
person
the-
now? but I
Can you
doubt
see if he
it.
has a camera on?
Huh?
But you
No,
could
I
do them
think-
one
I
at a
think
time.
Maria
Well, here
just
I
changed
can
her
I
name
can
to
I can
Bob.
admit him now. Let's see what happens with Bob Pratt.
You can do passwords though, right?
okay.
Also, so if you put on your,
This is
on your
gonna be
link,
great.
Bob Pratt, are you there, Bob? He's connecting his audio.
They
Hello,
all
Oh yeah.
Bob. Are you there?
Come on, Bob.
come
We're
on,
rooting
Bob.
for you,
Maria.
Bob.
Bob, Bahrain.
Bob
Bob,
Pratt.
Bob, you're not.
Bob, are you there?
It's
Oh, he's waving.
Maria.
Bob.
Okay,
He's a
Bob.
Bob's
nice-
waving at us.
He's a nice bomber.
Goodbye, Bob. Anyway,
Thank you, Bob.
well, now I know how to do this. Okay, so we had to go through this once, right?
You learn on everything.
Yeah. Well, I didn't realize that they would still bomb if they couldn't screen share. You know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, and it's a question of are they all the same person? Is the question because they
I
all
wonder
happen
what it
at
is
once.
that they have to do. That's all they've got to do.
Yeah.
It's some 7-year-old kid.
All they
No,
gotta do is
I'm
click on your
wondering
link.
if it isn't just one person who somehow is able to do that in various names.
They
Because
just gotta find your link and click on it.
yeah.
He's sheltered
Especially
in
the one
place.
on Gabnet.
What?
Especially the one on Gabnet that's always there.
It's on Gabnet and it's on YouTube. They just gotta click on the link and they get in.
Yeah, but my question is, why did we get them all at once? See, I mean, you would think that if we were going to get
They're
somebody,
lucky.
I bet you it's the same person.
They're all sitting
that's
in the
what
same
I'm
room.
saying. I'm betting it's the same person.
There was too much
Yeah.
similarity between a couple of the names.
Really?
Yeah, like the two
So they had
Marias.
accounts
Like
like
Maria,
Maria, Isabel, Maria, somebody.
They were all Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now you're going to have to go somewhere else to do this. You know.
Well,
You know.
There's probably some kind of search you can do to find Zoom cams or something.
Yeah.
You
Hey,
know what?
Ray?
You know what's kind of fun?
Yeah.
When you played Aunt Jemima, did you wear blackface?
I didn't play Aunt Jemima. I played like the racist white guy, I think.
Oh,
Can't remember
okay.
exact- Yeah.
Right.
But
Well, that
anyway-
made it okay.
Yeah. I was like her manager or something.
Now, what
Yeah.
are they going to do? I guess Aunt Jemima is just going
It's
to
a
be
good play.
Aunt Jemima is going to be put out to pasture because, but you know that's a brand name. And
No, they're gonna do a new name and reintroduce it or whatever.
What do you think the name should be?
I think
That's a
it
good question.
probably should be Step and Fetch It.
I think somebody would get fired if they did
Now,
that.
actually, here's what I think it should be. I think what they should do with Uncle Ben's rice, it's simple. Just start calling it Ben's rice.
Yeah.
That's enough. Yeah, that's good enough.
Or just Jemima.
And you can put a picture of me on it because my name is Ben.
There you go.
Okay,
Put
but you
your
can
whole
call
name
it.
on
Call
there.
it
They'll use the Big Ben in London.
yeah, no, but
The clock.
Ben's rice and Aunt Jemima, Aunt J, Aunt J,
Aunt Shay?
Yeah.
Aunt J pancake mix,
Auntie J.
Auntie
Does
J.
anybody actually use that stuff?
What?
Like that-
Oh
that
yeah. I
syrup?
mean, if you're gonna go out and
Syrup.
buy if you're gonna go out and buy pancake batter, the stuff you buy is Aunt Jemima. It's still the best they make.
Yeah, it was fine.
No, you're putting all these people from Vermont out of work. You know, there's pancake syrup that's really syrup.
Very expensive.
Yeah, but you don't use that much.
Yeah. But I'm just trying to think, what are going to happen to some other brand names? Well, I guess
What about the Quaker Oats guy?
That's what I don't get. Why are they going to get rid of the Quaker Oats guy?
I
Because
don't know. I read that though.
He's leaving in
yesterday.
protest.
Because
I think that was a joke.
the only reason I would have gotten it years ago is it looked a lot like Barbara Bush.
Yeah, I think it was why
Yeah.
Hey, and what about the Dutch
Yeah.
Doughboy? You know, with the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it
Chef
was-
Boyardee. Italians are very upset about Chef Boyardee. Also, just let
Yeah.
you know.
There actually
What
was
about
a
the
Chef Boyardee, and
Wiener Schnitzel.
No, there was a Chef Boyardee, and he actually did come up with that horrible spaghetti in a can. That by the time you got it out of the can, you ever notice when it came out of the can and it came out in the shape of the can?
Like the cranberry sauce.
Yeah. You could like cut it with a knife and eat it for lunch cold. My mother, I used to love spaghetti. So my mother bought a case of Chef Boyardee, or maybe it was Franco-American spaghetti. And I would eat that for lunch. When I was a kid, that was fine. I wouldn't accept it today, you know.
She said, I can make it. I used to always want like the raviolis.
Really?
I'm Italian. I'm gonna buy this.
But they were always like they've been sitting there in a can, and they never were anything else. There was no such thing as al dente with those things, you know.
I used to put
mush. It was mush.
Yeah. How about SpaghettiOs?
SpaghettiOs, yeah, that sucked too. They all sucked. All the canned spaghetti sucked.
What about Bob's Big Boy? That's that's kind of.
They were good.
It's kind of like Phil as a young man.
Well, all I'm saying is that I think that oh wow, Uncle Ben's they could call Ben's Rice, and they probably could get people to understand that change, right? That they were buying the same product, because Marjorie was incensed because that's all she uses for rice. She goes out and buys Uncle Ben's rice. Not the stuff that's pre-made, but the stuff that's that you cook up.
You've seen one rice kernel, you've seen them all.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. You're a Filipino, Vietnamese.
What's going to happen to Kentucky Fried Chicken?
Jasmine rice.
What's going to happen?
The original. Here's the original Aunt Jemima.
Look at it. How she look?
Yeah.
That was the original drawing.
There you
Aunt
go.
Jemima. Yeah. And later, Hattie McDaniel played a Mammy character in Gone with the Wind, which are also now trying to screw up for us. So
they took it off of Netflix or no?
Huh?
What is it? Yeah, they took it off of HBO or Netflix or something.
No, they took it off of HBO. Yeah, HBO Max.
Yeah, HBO.
Warning.
Disney.
Oh my God.
No, HBO Max.
HBO.
Yeah.
So
put a warning.
So tonight, I was sitting outside with my wife, and we were talking about this, right? And she said to me, "Did you know that back in the early 1900s, that in Coney Island, they brought over a bunch of Filipinos and they put them in a human zoo?"
Really?
Yeah, you could Google it from 1904 to 1911. Google it, and you see a picture of a little girl who's tied to a wooden post, and in Coney Island, and they used to charge admission. They brought over all of these what they call tribes people from the Philippines, and they were showing them off. It was just a horrible thing. I mean, we were it's amazing.
We actually
I didn't believe it, and then she showed me the pictures and all. I was like,
if you think we're horrible now, we've always been horrible.
Yes.
We've always been horrible.
Absolutely.
We indenture people as slaves, and by the way, there were white slaves in this country too, because they were indentured servants. They went in indentured servitude for 10 years.
They made a deal, though.
They made a deal. Yeah. Yes, Ray.
So in 1906, my family, who came here from Italy, their house burned down up near Coit Tower, and they had to move down to Pacifica and become indentured servants on artichoke farms for 15 years.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
We're just
my grandparents.
Where they get that? They get that from the trades. That's why it took 7 years to become a journeyman, because
no, a journeyman. It took you.
They were poor as hell, man. They didn't get paid money.
While you were in
in
those 7 years, you were a journeyman, Phil, and then you became a plumber or whatever.
Became a master. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were no journeyman.
His was an upholsterer. He died a couple of years ago. He was 85, but his dad came over here in the 20s, and he came over to learn or to practice his trade of upholstery, and they worked for 7 years in another guy's shop until he did his journey and became a master upholsterer.
Oh, listen, Yaro Jean-Pierre Torres is trying to call in. Maybe I'll let him call in after we're through here.
Yeah. Let him hang
Yeah.
Are you being a little what would you call it? Racially improper?
I doubt it. Hey, what, Charlie?
You're excluding all the Spanish
shut up,
guys.
Phil. We got to get in the show here. And I'm breathing heavy tonight for some reason. I don't know. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, John Larkin. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Brian. We just saw a car go by. Thank you, Kevin. And thank you, Ray. Why don't all of you give a big wave goodbye, and I will then wave back at you. Okay, there they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our citizen panel for tonight. The ones that aren't the phony human beings that try to call this program. Anyway, that's it for tonight. I'm Alex Bennett. Stay tuned for Jack Bishop. He's next with The Intersection, and he'll be taking your calls there via Skype. Most of these people can't bomb. In the meantime, I'm Alex Bennett. I'll see you again tomorrow night. Same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody. Have a nice night. Stay safe and wear a mask, okay?